where this is for the first time where we see Rhaenys in her position of power, that she was born the queen who never was, that she was meant to have but never had. This is the first time, and we actually see her act like a real queen. She does not cause any violence. She leaves. But before I even get into that, I want to talk about Rhaenys in the earlier episodes, them locking her in the room and how that unfolds. Let me go to that scene quickly. There we go. So in the moment where we see Rhaenys in the earlier scene that I had put up, sparing Alicent and her family's lives, it was almost in a way it was almost like a favor that she did to her, or an understanding, because they've communicated in peace. They have a peaceful dynamic between them. She came to her room. She could have killed her when she was in her room, like they killed the other lords who swore fealty to Rhaenyra. But she chose peace. She chose not to kill her, right? And I think that was also sort of her way of honoring Alicent as mother to mother. On one side, we have Rhaenys, who lost her children brutally. And it's almost like she's just this honorable, repentant woman, or this, religious, but like righteous woman that would not wish the same pain that she's had on another mother. So her sparing Alicent's life is a level of respect for her as a mother and her as a human. Yes, I would end this war in this moment if I burnt you all alive, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be responsible for that. And I'm going to honor you for not taking my life earlier today. And hopefully in the future, you will honor me too. Because I think Rhaenys believes that she doesn't want to be the first person to draw blood, right? In terms of within the Targaryen house. Obviously, they've already killed some people, but she doesn't want to be the first Targaryen to draw blood. So she wants to wait for Rhaenyra to make that decision. At the end of the day, Rhaenys, it's not like Rhaenys. Rhaenys is the one that's supposed to be queen. If she's gonna, shed blood for anyone, if she's gonna get blood, she's going to do it for herself to get in that position of queen, right? But this is Rhaenyra's throne, so she's not going to be the one to kill people on behalf of Rhaenyra. But ultimately, her sitting on top of that throne, sitting on the dragon in front of all of them, showing her power, showing her that I'm nobody to be messed with. I'm quiet, I'm peaceful, but I am nobody to be messed with. I thought a very interesting moment was between the two of them, and I'm going to play it here. All right.
A true queen counts the cost to her people. And yet you toil still in service to men. Your father, your husband, your son. You desire not to be free, but to make a window in the wall of your prison. Have you never imagined yourself on the Iron Throne?
Such a powerful line there from Rhaenys. And she says, yet you toil still in service to men. Alicent's whole life has been about servicing men, the men in her life. Like she said, her husband, her father, her son. All she does is to put the men in the positions of power that they wish. And the irony I found there is that Rhaenys, in a way, has also done the same. When I think about the moment when she could have killed them all in this moment, but she lacked the desire for further complications. That's one thing. Or to participate, in this. But at the same time, she is submitting to the patriarchy. While she's loyal to Rhaenyra on the surface, she lacks the loyalty to pull the trigger herself, which would have saved the lives of her fleet and many. So I say that because she could have ended this war, saved the lives of so many people. But in a way, she's loyal to the patriarchy. She could have killed them right there and then, gone to the Iron Throne and sat on it, because that is really where she belongs, on the Iron Throne. But because she's loyal to the systems that are already at place, sure, that would complicate things a little bit more. She doesn't have anybody rallying for her, nobody that in the realm that's believing in her. But when I think about how Cersei sat on the Iron Throne, because it was available, she could have done the same thing, because ultimately she was the queen that never was. This is her throne. She has a fleet. Sure, she might be alone, but she could work it out. She could have worked it out, because if she really was, if it was, okay, here's, in one way, a lot of people have died and they didn't already support her initially. But when it comes down to it, she could have taken the throne. But because she's loyal to the systems at place, which are set up by the patriarchy, she then decided, well, I'm not going to kill you. And I'm not going to kill you because I'm not going to get the throne anyway. But I'm not even going to be the one to kill you. Let Rhaenyra do it herself. I'm just going to do my duty and tell Rhaenyra to do that. So I thought it was interesting how she had the opportunity to end this war, save millions of lives or hundreds of thousands. I don't know how many people are in the world, but she chose not to do that. And that was interesting. Okay, what's another part? Oh, another part that was interesting here was when Alicent asked her to break her oath and support her claim to the throne. Let me play it right quick.
I came here to ask your support. I must credit you for your boldness. House Velaryon has long allied itself with the Princess Rhaenyra, and what has it gained you? Your daughter dead, alone in Pentos. Your son cuckolded.
So she's there asking her for all those things.
6 long years.
And here she goes.
The word of my house is not fickle.
So that was a very important line. That was a very important line also. The words of my house is not fickle. And so when you look at House Velaryon, their words are the old, the true, the brave. So even though she's saying, look, break your oath and join us. Rhaenyra has done all these terrible things to you and your family. Join us and we will unite with you. She denies her because, first of all, she knows the original oath, I guess the old. She knows the truth that Rhaenyra is the one. If anybody's going to sit on the throne, it should be Rhaenyra. Because ultimately, even though she couldn't sit on the throne as a woman, I think somewhere deep down, she likes the idea of change and progression and a woman sitting on the throne. So at the end of the day, ultimately, and even when, push came to shove, she still defended Rhaenyra, even though there might be a little bit of an ounce of jealousy in her around Rhaenyra. Better Rhaenyra than these people who she's seen them, and they're brutal. She almost predicted that this would happen already. And she would take Rhaenyra's side because what other choice does she have? And her grandchildren are in Rhaenyra's possession. So why would she not? So the old, the true, the brave. So she's brave. Ultimately, if you think I'm going to join you because I'm afraid and I don't want a war to take place, forget about it. I'm going to join Rhaenyra's side. But then also, I think another interesting thing is her other house where she's a Targaryen. Her other house is fire and blood. So it's almost in a way how she's really the queen that never was, because she's like this silent dragon, this dragon that had the opportunity to kill them all but decided not to take the opportunity, because she's now more consumed with being a Valyrian than being a Targaryen. So yes, she has the power of the dragon, but she chooses not to shed blood through fire and blood. So that's also an interesting dynamic there. So finally, in this last moment where we see Alicent and Rhaenys standing in front of each other, and there's this understanding that this is your family, you're a mother. I don't wish what happened to me with my children or this pain even on my worst enemy. This kind of proves that not only is Rhaenys an honorable woman, because when you think about Cersei Lannister, and when she lost all three of her children, what did that turn her into? A monster that wanted revenge. But Rhaenys, ultimately, yes, Cersei grew up in a time of war. There was Robert's Rebellion, and then there was the War of Five Kings. So all Cersei knows is war. And so it makes sense that she's a vengeful woman. But Rhaenys grew up in a time of peace. And so even though Rhaenys has lost her children, she does not choose violence, because she knows that it could hurt more and more people. Instead, she chooses peace. So she's not going to be responsible of killing Alicent, who she was just in her arms or just holding hands, looking in her face very close just a day ago. She's not going to kill her children. She's not going to kill Alicent and her children, just as an honorable woman and a peaceful woman. And it kind of shows that ultimately she may have just been the one that was rightful, that would have been a good queen, that would do what is just, that would do what is right. And Rhaenyra has that in her also. Rhaenyra didn't kill her children, but pretended. But it just seems as though Rhaenys doesn't have it in her to plot and scheme. She just seems like somebody that's very straightforward, very in your face and direct, and just does what she needs to do. But ultimately, I think Rhaenys, you're a product of your environment, you're a product of your experiences, and Rhaenys has never had to plot and scheme for survival. Unlike Rhaenyra, this is what she has to do because these people are usurping the throne. So that's also an interesting element also.